tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I woke up to a good day. I got up and my kids and hauled off half the trash in the backyard. One of my nieces has been out of town for a year, came back last night. It's good to have her back. I'm gonna have all my kids here today. We're gonna work on the garage. I mean, yeah, it's cool stuff. To me, it's cool stuff. So I like seeing everybody pitch in to make the place a little bit nicer. Yeah, so yeah. What I enjoy most is Dion's getting what he wants. Good morning. It looks like we got somebody here, but they're probably driving or something. So, I'm gonna double check chat here, just make sure that chat isn't screwing up. No chat over here on this either. So we are free and clear of the chats, the Chotsies, the Trotsies. Welcome to Daily Trudge. My name is Dion. I'm Batman. I'm Batman. I'm wearing a Batman shirt for my Podbean people that don't have the camera. If you're here, welcome to Daily Trudge. I already did that. If you're here, please say. If you're here, welcome to the Daily Trudge. If you're here, please say hello. I'm not awake. I didn't get quite enough sleep, but just enough sleep, just enough. So might have to take a 20-minute nap later. Good luck with that, though. There's way too much stuff going on. So my niece has a dog. She's not here. That compounds the confusion. Nobody's even said anything yet. Okay. It's just a quiet day. All right, so let's get started. I believe we're going to be in the 12 by 12. I pulled this out of As Bill Sees It. Yeah, 12 by 12, page 104. It's going to be the 11th step. Saturdays is a good day for 11th steps stuff. I used to go to a meeting at noon on Saturdays about step 11. Morning, Sam. Good to see you, man. He's just a traveling man. Sam, the traveling man. And you even called me D. Yeah, a lot of people don't really call me D much anymore. That's all right, which is cool. I actually like being called D. All right, so just checking, see where. Okay, we're gonna go back a little bit. I'm going to start at the bottom of page 102 in the 12 by 12 for anybody that would like to follow along. That's where I'm going to start. Don't you appreciate the fact that I don't set up shit before I get here? I just pick a reading. I don't even. Half the time we're like, okay, where are we going to read from? It eats up time. It switches things around a little bit. That's why I do it. One of the reasons I do it. AA as such ought never be organized, and this probably will be either. Which is a big thing considering I'm a Virgo who loves organization. All right. As the day goes on, we pause where situations must be met, decisions made, and renew the simple request, thy will, not mine, be done. There are some days when I have to do that a lot. There are some days I'll have to do it all. Kind of varies, It seems to depend upon my attitude. But one of the benefits of being in this program is you get to start your day over whenever you want to. Yep. And there's the kitten. There he is. Oh, yeah, he's feeling very lovey this morning. He's happy because his friend's back. He's friends with my niece's dog. So he's just happy. Dude, could you not sink your nails into me, though? He's like sinking his nails into me and rubbing my neck. So it's like pain and pleasure at once. Ow! You know I love you, kitty. Okay. So we're going to have to pause during the day sometime, just like the pause I have on my back right now with its sharp little nails. All right. So if at these points our emotional disturbance happens to be great, we will be more surely keep our balance. All right. Thank you for sliding down without your nails. That was appreciated. Ow, ow, your back nails. Okay, dude. Jesus. Um, we'll be surely keep our balance, provide, remember, and repeat to ourselves a particular prayer or phrase that has appealed to us in our reading or meditation. So there's a lot of sayings in the program, and you're going to find one that kind of suits you. The point is that it keeps it simple and reminds you of why you're doing what you're doing. Those those are the things that we're trying to get to. Okay, because at this point it isn't even about the alcohol, it's about your emotional sobriety. And I don't need alcohol, and neither do you, in order to be a go back to being a jerk. I don't need it. It helps. It helps because it lowers my inhibitions. Right. So I might have these emotional disturbances during the day. Number one, pick your battles. All right. Pick your battles. All right. But see if you can pick one. There's a day at a time. There's a serenity prayer. There's thy will not mine be done. There's a third step prayer, which is a little bit longer. There's the angry man's prayer. There are so many first things first, live and let live. There are so many slogans in the program that will be useful to you throughout the day. The one I've been honing in on lately is think, 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 because a lot of people misunderstand what that means. First thinking, I'm just going to do it real quick because I've been repeating it a lot lately. The first think is you got to think the drink through. Second think is think of what's going to happen. What are going to be the consequences? And they're going to be the same damn consequences as all the other ones beforehand because those are the consequences. The third think is think about what would happen if you did not drink. What would life be like? Those three things and thinking about those three things while having a craving will get you through it. Then your brain will realize, I don't want to go back to fucking shaking. I don't want that. No, let's try something different. It's almost like telling on yourself. When you tell on yourself, like if you want to drink and you tell somebody else, it loses its power. Otherwise, it's got to be a dirty little secret. But once it's not a dirty little secret anymore, that's pretty hard to do when you really want to drink and you tell somebody else, I really want to fucking drink. If you've done that before, great job. One of the hardest things to do. All right. Just saying it over and over will often enable us to clear a channel choked up with anger, fear, frustration, or misunderstanding, and permits us to return to the surest help of all, our search for God's will, not our own, in the moment of stress. At these critical moments, if we remind ourselves that it is better to comfort than to be comforted, to understand than to be understood, to love than to be loved, we will be following the intent of step 11. Now that part comes from what we call it the 11th step prayer. Everybody else calls it the St. Francis prayer. I call it the St. Francis prayer because that's what it is. Did you think we came up with these prayers ourselves? Seventh step, I think, is 3 and 7. I think they're ones that kind of came up. All right. And even then, who knows where it came from? Almost everything in AA is borrowed and or stolen, depending on how you look at it, right? But it is better to comfort than to be comforted. It is better to understand than be understood, to love than to be loved. Why is that? Because when I reach out and I comfort somebody rather than being comforted, I am automatically comforted. It's like willingness. Once I decide, even if I'm not willing, okay, well, pray for willingness. I can do that. So you're already willing. You already got it. Because when I try and understand somebody else and where they're coming from, I feel more understood. That is why we do it. When I love other people unconditionally and appropriately, it comes back tenfold. It does. I'm watching it happen today. You think the kids cleaned up the backyard because they're scared of dad? No, because they love dad. It's weird. This is a new one for me. Usually I have to get things done through anger. Now they're volunteering and shit. That's cool shit. You see why I'm not a preacher on Sundays, all right? Fucking shit, motherfucker. Or I might be one of the best preachers because I do swear. All right. Oh, I've never even read the Bible, so that's not going to happen. Of course, it is reasonable and understandable that the question is often asked, why can't we take a specific and troubling dilemma straight to God and in prayer secure from him sure and definite answer to our requests? How are you going to get the answer? Hold on. Hey, Jack, why are you being a dick? I see you being a dick. Wow, that's the first time Jack's ever done that. I gotta check something. I'm gonna get to what Sam said. All right, well, if having the window open is gonna cause fights, well, we're gonna close the window then. And Jack, you do that again, you're gonna get your ass beat, dude. Yeah, better watch that. All right. Sam says, my life in any capacity and circumstances will undoubtedly become unmanageable in time if I do not continue to embrace my flawed humanity. I must acknowledge, accept, and give it away to God. Did you listen to my thing yesterday, Sam? I know you probably didn't, but that's pretty. Yesterday the topic was awareness, acceptance, and action, and that's exactly it. That's always the answer. It's almost the, but we utilize this stuff to get there. So we utilize prayer to get to that. Now, why is it important that I do not make specific requests? Okay. It's pretty straightforward because I'm not God. That's the answer, because I'm not God. I don't know what his plans are. Because I have found that every hard thing that I have gone through, every hard thing that I have gone through was to teach me how to teach others to go through it every single time. And if I can look at it that way, I'm probably going to be able to reach down and find my courage. Right? So this can be done, but it has its hazards. So you can certainly pray any way you want, but it has its hazards. Okay? Do you think if you pray for patience that God's just going to grant you patience? Is that what you think will happen? No, you pray for patience. God's going to put somebody in your life to teach you patience. That's how it works. So be careful what you pray for. Right? But it has its hazards. We've seen AAs ask with much earnestness and faith for God's explicit guidance on matters ranging all the way from shattering domestic or financial crisis to correcting a minor personal fault, like tardiness. Quite often, however, the thoughts that seem to come from God are not answers at all. I'm going to give you kind of how I do it. If it appears in my brain, it ain't God. God has never, ever directly spoken to me. My intuition, I utilize often. Okay, where's my intuition? My intuition sits in my tummy. Okay, now I'm going to talk like you're 2 years old, like I'm 2 years old again. You remember what happened when you were younger and you lied? Your tummy hurt. It still does it. Listen to that intuition. I can't make demands of God. Well, I can, but I'm going to be very unsatisfied. Right? So, and you'll hear people say, God told me, yeah, no. My experience is this. God speaks to his children. That's why we have meetings. That's why we have each other. Sometimes God will give me more than I can handle. He doesn't do it as much now. But in the beginning, he gave me more than I could handle. And people say, God never gives me more than I can handle. You're a fucking alcoholic. The moment you walked in the door, your alcoholism was bigger than you. If you were able to handle it and God would let you handle it, you would have handled it long ago, but you couldn't. He wanted you to reach out to his children. That's why God gives us things bigger than we can handle. Yep, that's my experience. Yeah. Or I won't reach out to his children. Now it's kind of automatic for me. So I don't get so maybe the problems are bigger than me, but I don't think about that part because I automatically go to somebody else. Right? So quite often, however, the thoughts that seem to come from God are not answers at all. They are proved to be the well-intentioned, unconscious rationalizations. The AA, or indeed any man who tries to run his life rigidly by this kind of prayer, by this self-serving demand of God for replies, is a particularly disconcerting individual. To any questioning or criticism of his actions, he instantly offers his reliance upon prayer for guidance in all matters, great or small. This is what they think, that God's going to do all the work. God does what I say. Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. Because he don't do what I say. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Right? He may have forgotten the possibility that his own wishful thinking and human tendency to rationalize have distorted his so-called guidance. With the best of intentions, he tends to force his own will into all sorts of situations and problems with the comfortable assurance that he's acting under God's specific direction. Under such an illusion, he can, of course, create great havoc without in the least intending it. Oh, I'm just doing, don't give me a hard time. I'm just doing God's will. When I don't even know what God's will is. I don't wake up in the morning, I'm like, oh, okay, I know God's will today and what's going to happen. I have some plans. We're going to work on the garage. I got a meeting later, got a couple meetings, got this, got that. But what's going to actually happen, I have no fucking clue. I have no idea. I don't need to know because it's going to happen anyway. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the best possible attitude that I can during it, so if something does come up, we can solve it as a team. See, that's what the garage is actually all about, coming together as a team and problem solving. There's a lot of shit in there that we don't know what to do with yet. So, right? Yeah. We also fall into another similar temptation. We form ideas as to what we think God's will is for other people. We say to ourselves, this one ought to be cured of his fatal malady. Or that one ought to be relieved of his emotional pain. And we pray for these specific things. I don't ever pray for anything really specific. If somebody, and when people say, if you could pray for me, this is the prayer you're going to get. God, please give so and so the courage that they need to get through whatever they're going through. I can't do anymore. I can ask for some courage for you to help you out, to help guide you. I might even pray that you remained open-minded so that you can see the gifts that are going to be coming to you for it. Good morning, Michelle. Yeah, I'm a little early today. Woo! Just got to have a big book study. Good job. Big book studies are important. All right. But just like praying for myself in specific things, I cannot pray for specific things for other people. No. Yeah. When I'm going through things, these are my prayers. God, please help me stay open-minded so I can see your direction. Please help me, give me some direction. That's getting a little pushy though. Yeah. Sam says, I will certainly not do the right thing and create the truth that justifies any delusion infinitely when I am at the mental point of origin taking action out of assuming everyone's perspective. Yeah. I pray for somebody I haven't even asked what they're going through. All right. Do I have a connection to a higher power? Yes. Is it bigger than yours? No. No. Am I more spiritual than other people? No. That's not a comparison I'm willing to do. Right? There's this thing, it's called the Abilene effect. It's where a group of people will sit down and vote on a wrong choice due to popularity. And we alcoholics do the same thing. We feel enlightened and suddenly we think we know better. There's nothing worse than a preacher's son who gets a hold of a building that has gone through the 12 steps. They will demolish a neighborhood with their bullshit because they think people assume God's, that's not how that works. Okay. When was the last person God had directly talked to somebody? Moses or somebody? I don't know. I wasn't there. So I don't know. All right. Sam says, basically, my own thoughts and reasons aren't mine to begin with. Yeah, because my thoughts and my basic thing is selfishness, self-centeredness. I cannot count on my initial thought. Sam goes on to say, because I'm assessing outcomes based on a self-organized criticism from an outside third party, like what? And name and say. Yeah, that is insane. You get locked up, but run around saying God's talking to me. You're going to get locked up for that. We call that 72-hour hold. The great 72-hour hold. And I heard those way too much. Suddenly I started acting correctly because no, thank you. That one ought to be, we pray for specific, such prayers, of course, are fundamentally good acts, right? But often they are based on supposition that we know God's will for the person for whom we pray. Do I know God's will? Not particularly, but I got a good idea of it. Don't beat up God's children. That's it for me. Anything beyond that's bigger than me. It's bigger than my finite mind. Right? This means that side by side with an earnest prayer, there can be a certain amount of presumption and conceit in us. What? It is AA's experience that particularly in these cases, we ought to pray that God's will, whatever it is, be done for others as well as ourselves. You think you have a choice? You think you have control over God's will? So when you add this one ought to be cured of his fatal malady and it's not, then where are you? Then where are you? Talk about, and then you're going to be, oh man, this is my fault. Dear Lord. Really? Pretty big ego. Pretty big ego. Be thinking that you have control over other people's spiritual maladies. No, we don't. Right. In AA, we have found that the actual good results of prayer are beyond question. I would agree. I ask God for direction. I go to meetings. I hear it, and then I implement it. But one way or another, He will tell me. But if I pray and then take no action, God, show me your will, and then I sit around and Netflix binge all day, I'm not going to get my answer. Remember, awareness, acceptance, action. Faith without works is dead. I can't ask God for something and do nothing. Doesn't work that way. They are matters of knowledge and experience. All those who have persisted, have not found strength not ordinarily their own. They have found wisdom beyond their usual capability, and they have increasingly found peace of mind, which can stand firm in the face of difficult circumstances. Why are we doing this? Because we are people who need to rely upon God for the problems that we are going through. Because sometimes I'm not going to be able to take care of it today. So I'm going to have to let go and let God and trust that God's got it taken care of so I can get on about business for the day. So it doesn't interfere. So I can be what? Of maximum usefulness to God and the world around me. And all He asks is that you try your best every single day. Yeah. All right. Let's do one more paragraph. We'll wrap this up. We discover that we do receive guidance for our lives to just about the extent that we stop making demands upon God to give us to us on order and on our terms. Almost any experienced AA will tell how his affairs have taken a remarkable and unexpected turns for the better as he tried to improve his conscious contact with God. He will also report that out of every season of grief or suffering, when the hand of God seemed heavy or even unjust, new lessons for living were learned. New resources of courage were uncovered. And finally, inescapably, the conviction came that God does move in mysterious ways his wonders to perform. It's hard to deny it once you're in the middle of it. It is. Remember earlier I was talking about I have found that every time I go through something tough, it is a teachable moment to help somebody else. Yeah, every time. And it's amazing because the new resources of courage were uncovered. That part doesn't seem to end. I'm starting to think that courage ought to be classified with honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness because it seems to be indispensable because it comes from God. Right? So your courage is, in a sense, indispensable. It's not going to run out. You can't use up your courage, right? That unsuspected inner resource. You want more courage, not less fear. Trust me on that one. All right. I get some things ready. Get some things done so we can work on the garage. Everybody will be here shortly. So, all right. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. I'm going to read what Sam posted here real quick. Sam says, I've never listened to anything anyone has ever said to me and not had a rebuttal in my head. Oh, yeah, absolutely. My actions always fell short when my intention was to prove myself right. I failed indefinitely. Yeah. When all I'm trying to do is create a situation where I am correct, I'm going to live a very unhappy life. All right. And then Sam, I'm sure at one point somebody came to you, said something like this: do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? What does that mean? That it's okay to be wrong. That's what it means. It means that if you are wrong and you make it right, you're right. Even when you're wrong, if you're open-minded enough, you are correct. It's learning. And learning often has to do with replacing an old thought with the correct thought. Often. All right. That's why you should never believe statistics. Who knows how they got to them. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. Sam, it was good seeing you, man. Hope you're doing well. I love y'all. You know it. Peace out. And have a day.